What's up guys, it's Braden with Overland Outfitters, and I wanted to do a really quick walk around of this blue piece of junk because a lot of people are asking, and also because I'm about to completely cut it apart and redo it basically from the ground up. So this is kind of the last chance to actually get a video of this thing before we start modifying. So yeah, let's just have a quick look at this thing. Basically, it's a 2006 Toyota Tacoma. It's the double cab long bed, so it's got the 4 doors and the longer bed. So the wheelbase is pretty long, and I think it was a sport. I'm not actually totally sure about that, but it's an SR5 Sport, I'm pretty sure. It used to have the hood scoop and stuff. So anyway, so I guess we'll just start from the front. Yeah, so it's got the Pelfrey built, which is a company that doesn't even exist anymore, but Pelfrey built front and rear bumpers. This is the aluminum one, and I hate it. It's like completely bent and mangled. It's like super loose that I shouldn't even probably be using it for winching, but I'm just waiting for it to rip off. It's got the Smitty built 9.5 XRC winch, I don't know, some sort of cheap winch in there, and the rigid lights. For suspension, it's got JD Fab 2 1/4 long travel on the front. So overall, it's 4.5 inches wider than stock with the King coilovers right now. I do have bypasses for it, but that's going to be in the rebuild. So yeah, it uses the JD Fab lower pivot kit, and what that does is it lets me move the wheels further forward. And when I do that, I can get a little bit more clearance in the firewall for bigger tires, because these are 37-inch tires on beadlocks. They're Nitto Ridge Grappler 37 by 12.5 with the black Rhino, I think they're called Riot beadlock. So those have been fine. They're a little worn out now, but I did have to tub a lot for this to fit. Like, I tubbed into the firewall probably about 3 inches, and I tubbed up here about 4 inches. So, and obviously I mangled these fenders to get them to fit. But yeah, got all the gussets, and then I do also have the JD Fab steering slide rack. So it basically braces the steering rack so that it can't deflect, and then you hopefully don't blow as many seals, because I was blowing racks. I think I blew like 2 racks before I put this on. So yeah, that's about it for the suspension. Oh, it's got King bumps in there that I shortened to 1 inch, so they have 1 inch stroke instead of 2 inches, so I have more free travel before they bump. So I have about 12.5 bump to strap travel in the front. So yeah, it works pretty good. It'll work better with the bypasses, but for now it's been awesome. It ties together with the back really well, so the travel is really even. And it's been quite enjoyable. It has gotten a decent amount of airtime, not a ton of airtime like the desert guys, but for up here in Vancouver, it gets, you know, more than the average, I'd say. So for the drivetrain, I have ARB front and rear lockers with 48 gears, and it drives pretty much like stock with the 37's, so it's been pretty good. I do have a custom drive shaft with the slip joint at the back, and then I have the 934 Porsche CVs on the inners. Those are made by JD Fab, so they adapt them. They weld a stock Tacoma inner spline to a 934 CV, and then you have a longer axle that has a lot more plunge, so that's why they can get more travel than other long travel kits that other companies make. Because of that axle, it just allows more droop before axle bind. So really cool kit, and they're way stronger. So normally the outer CV breaks because it binds when the inner can't plunge enough, but because the inner now can plunge way more, it just has way more movement before it wants to break. So with 37's, the front all locked up, like pretty bound up. I've never broken an axle, so I'm pretty stoked on that. The sliders I just built at home. This is way before we started this business or anything. And then in the back we have King 2.0 2-inch bumps with King 16-inch IBP shocks. And then the JD Fab spring under kit. I think that you can get like 18 inches of travel with it. I think I'm currently closer to 17 just because I have the heavier duty leafs that don't flex as good, and that's to hold the tent and all that kind of stuff. So they got D-release springs, but yeah, everything's a little bit rusty. But you know, it is what it is. I also had to modify this bumper to make the suspension clear, and now it's like all bent and just super wobbly. So I'm gonna be redoing that too, but as you can probably tell, I have a lot of body damage here and at the door. And so that's mostly, I did the door, I'll be honest, but all the rest of the body damage you see on this truck is actually from me just letting other people drive it. So I'm just gonna put that out there.
By the tree?
You didn't sign it yet.
Day 2, baby. And so much has happened already.
It's got an, oh yeah, it's got this Prinzu rack on the top that's been fine. It's got a Tepui awning thing that I use whenever it's dumping rain. And we just switched to this iCamper Mini. It's the 3.0 from we used to have a Kukanam, which was great, but it was like completely haggard by the time we were done with it. So we just changed to this, and I think we've only used it like maybe 15 or 20 days so far. So not that much, but we do like it better. It is quicker to open and close, but I want to do some modifications to it because I hate how some of these latches work and stuff, but that will come. For the rear shocks, I have a custom bed cage I made. I wanted to keep as much width as I could because I use the truck for loading a lot of stuff for work. So I load bumpers and stuff in here all the time. Now that we have the Tundra, it doesn't really matter as much, but yeah, so I tried to keep as much like free space in the bed as possible. And yeah, I don't know, it's full of leaves and junk right now, but that's just how it always is, isn't it? Yeah, I got some more rigid lights back here. I also got the party lights in the bed, but those will be coming out soon. I do have a compressor with a tank, so no spare underneath, but I do have a Viair, I think it's a 3-gallon or 2.5 gallon air tank, and then my air chuck comes out right here, so when I want to air out my tires, I just plug my air hose right here, and then I can, you know, air out my tires. Or air up my friend's tires. So if somebody pulls up right behind me, I can do mine and theirs without anybody moving. So it's pretty handy. Yeah, this is the tail light that's been destroyed 4 times, I think now. I keep gluing it back together and then I kind of just gave up. But yeah, that's that. What else is there? So under the hood, you might notice that there is a lot of mud. Holy smokes, it's worse than I thought. But yeah, you'll notice that there's no batteries here. So all those batteries have been relocated to the cab because it improved suspension performance like substantially. And not only that, but it also, I kept breaking my fenders and like they're cracked all over really bad. So by moving the batteries out of here, it's actually made everything work a lot better. I do have a ARB twin compressor here. With the tubbing, I lost about 4 inches of clearance, so I did cut my washer fluid reservoir in half and then cut about 4 inches out of it, and then I glued it back together and like actually melted it back together. And then, yeah, it's been actually working really good and it's really solid in here, so happy with how that turned out. I also have, oh, this fell out. That's probably what that knocking noise has been. Anyway, okay, so, so I relocated the air intake into the cowl. That's like to replace the snorkel, basically. I don't really like how snorkels look. I also don't like that you catch them on branches and stuff all the time. So I just went with this route, super simple and clean and easy, and then I had lots of space for all this kind of stuff. So worked out really good, but obviously I need to do some work on it. I think it's falling apart a little bit. That's okay.
Just cut a hole in the cab.
Yeah, you just cut a big hole here and then shove a tube through. And I use this like kind of flexi line because I did used to have a aluminum one that went back here, and then I think the engine vibrations ended up cracking the cowl, and then it was making this super annoying lock, like clunking noise. And so I'd switched to this, and now it's just everything can move independently. So I have a How TC style steering pump in here, and that just lets you basically drive one hand through bumps and stuff. The way the check valves work, they're way faster and stronger than the stock pump, so you don't get all that feedback through the wheel. And then it has the reservoir here and the cooler there, and it's all plumbed in. So that has been a pretty sweet upgrade that I would definitely recommend everybody do. It is expensive though, so you gotta be pretty into trucks to go for that one. I do have this kind of block thing up there on that guy, but other than that, nothing really special. It's all just normal stuff. I do have some lights in here, so when I break down in the middle of the night, I can still see. And yeah, that's basically it. So for brakes, I did do a little bit of a brake upgrade. I have they're just 4Runner brakes. So the 4Runner brake is actually bigger than the Tacoma brake. So I just used stock Toyota parts that bolt right into the Tacoma that give me a bigger brake caliper and a bigger rotor as well. So that has been a bit of an upgrade. It's not like a crazy upgrade, but it's a little bit of one. So that's been good. I do have this Cascadia solar panel on the hood as well. It does the thing. So yeah. In the cab, there's not really anything too special. I've got like all my switches here for the lockers, compressors and stuff. I have Clasio seat covers, which I really like. They make it look like your seats are leather, but they're just seat covers. So I've really liked those, and I put in some heated seats, like heat pad things underneath them. So
those just go, they just like plug in and wire in.
Yeah, I wired them into their own switch, so they yeah, they work pretty good. I do like them. I just have my radio in there, and yeah, that's really it. You know, an upgraded head unit, but that's pretty much it. I did put the switch panel up on the roof. I wish I had done a switch panel at the beginning and not done all these switches here, because that was a huge pain in the butt. But yeah, I do have that up there. And otherwise, I have like this kind of net thing in the back. So yeah, you put this in here and you can store all your stuff, and it's great, but none of your friends will like you when they sit in the back of your truck because you have to sit like this. But yeah, works pretty good. And then, oh, on the other side, I'll show you the batteries. So the batteries were relocated to the cab. So this is probably one of the better upgrades I did, honestly. It's so good. So if you remove all that plastic back there, then you can fit 2 batteries side by side with all my like isolator stuff and all that. So yeah, they fit right behind the seat, and it's been awesome. So definitely stoked on that. I just made my own brackets to hold them down. I just welded it straight to the body. But yeah, I still have room for my jumper cables, my first aid kit, plus the batteries, and then all the isolator stuff. But it's a little, I don't know, you know how it is when you're a mechanic and you have to work on your own truck and you kind of don't put all the effort in because you're just like, just want to get it done. So that's kind of the situation with this truck. If you haven't noticed, it's a little bit clapped, and like everything works good. It just doesn't, you know, I kind of half-ass some stuff just because I don't have the time. I need to get a customer's truck in or whatever. So it just is what it is. But yeah, so that's basically this truck in a nutshell. That's all we got. We got the toilet paper mod, you know, little station you can wash your hands, wipe your butt, all good. But yeah, other than that, that's my 2006 Toyota Tacoma. If you have any questions, just leave a comment and I'd be happy to answer. But yeah, that's basically, this is the last time you'll see this truck looking like this. I have lots of plans, so if you're interested, subscribe, because I'm going to be shooting a video series about the build on this truck from this stage going forward and what's going to change and upgrade. So really stoked for that. It's going to, like, literally we're starting to cut it apart today. So this is literally the last time it's going to look like this. And I'm super excited, and I hope you want to follow along. But thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.